one thing that's been really impressive is watching Jack Harlow really take advantage of the moment that he's in the middle of. I think this is a guy, two things. One, he quit smoking and drinking to really focus on his craft and lock in professionally to make sure that he could get to where he's at. Highly respect that, highly respect the dedication. And the second thing is that he understands how to be in the shine. He's not hiding from it. He's stepping right out there. And it's interesting as well to see his relationship build with Drake, and to see even Drake's actions and the way that he's maneuvering. Drake is a master of understanding what the next trend is and being a part of that. And Drake seeing Jack Harlow, seeing the wave he's on, them kind of becoming, kind of a little duo at the Kentucky Derby this past weekend, putting out all this social media content. Um, it's new, it's different, it's interesting, and I highly respect Jack Harlow's marketing ability.
Yeah, he's a tremendous marketer, and that's what that underscores part of what this game is about, which is how do you market yourself, right? But the question always comes with these situations: is the product behind it supporting the hype, right? And quite frankly, I'm a Jack Harlow fan, but quite frankly, the album was fell flat based on the hype around the album, right? You This happens a lot, is they build up the hype machine, and then and that sets the bar of expectations. I'm trying to figure out whether it's because my expectations were set so high that I'm a little disappointed, or if the album is just mid,
Yeah.
because the production is amazing, but I was expecting more growth here, and some of the songs are really good. The content is good. The messages are good. The track with Drake, Drake really did come with it. But I don't know how you felt, but from a personal standpoint, you never want to overly criticize someone's art that they put time into and energy into. But I just personally, I wasn't as moved by the album as I had expected, even though I didn't have a lot of expectations going in. I like Jack Harlow, but I'm not sure if he's someone who I want to listen to a whole album of.
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed as well, but I wouldn't entirely put it to um I wouldn't criticize the art personally. I would just say I'm probably not his demo. I'm older than him already. Like, if I
Yeah,
was 19 in college and I was looking for something to bump on the weekends or when I'm partying or whatever, it would be this Jack Harlow project. And I think back to Thank Me Later, which was highly criticized when Drake put it out because people were saying, "Oh, it doesn't really show much growth. It's really similar to what he's done already." This to me feels very similar to Thank Me Later, but as a kid, I loved Thank Me Later. It's one of my favorite projects from Drake. It still is. And I just think it's like, with a lot of artists, I think it's just timing and like where their fans are on the journey with them in terms of how these projects resonate. I think one thing that also stood out to me is that I was watching some interviews around this project, and Jack Harlow was talking about his desire to try and make bigger tracks. So essentially shooting for things that would resonate with the larger audience. And whenever you're doing that, whenever you're creating things for a larger audience, you lose individuality. Things get a little bit more generic. And that's what I felt listening to this. I think when I listened to early Jack Harlow, when I first got put onto him, he was a kid in Kentucky making mixtapes, and he was nuts as a rapper. And as time has progressed, he has focused a lot less on the actual technical aspects of rapping and storytelling, and focused a lot more on the cleverness of rhymes, finding quotable lyrics, and essentially really trying to take the same lane that Drake has in terms of what he's built in his career. And so I think that this feels like a move in that direction, which to me is not extremely interesting from an artistic standpoint, but I think there's definitely a huge market for it.
yeah. There's definitely a huge market for him, right? He's a commercial success, and but as a white rapper, you're always going to be with this level of hype. You're always going to be compared to Eminem, right? And it's clear that he's not in terms of technical skill and flow and everything, that he's not there, right? It doesn't mean, and he's not It's very challenging in hip hop to follow up your first album, and he's not the first artist that struggled with his follow up album. Your criticism is higher. People are expecting more of you. But what I had hoped for more than anything was some more risk taking in terms of flow. The thing, I think he's witty. I think his punchlines are amazing. Like he's a very good rapper, but it's it's like there's rappers that you're like, I don't want to hear 10 songs of the same flow.
Yeah.
And that's really where I think the growth could happen, is in the flow, and taking some risks and going outside of his comfort zone, which, the criticisms of Drake's albums typically are because he does take risks, right? It's not because they sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
He tries to change things up, and most of the criticism that he receives initially is a result of that. But then, because just like with social media, because everybody is forced to hear his songs over and over on every platform, whenever they turn on the radio, whenever they turn anything, I always find like 2 weeks after the criticism that everybody is vibing to the song that they say that wasn't very good. It
100%.
happens every time with Drake.
100%. Drake has really perfected that. I wonder if I'll feel that way about some of these tracks off of this album. Nothing really like resonated with me, and I think it's for the reason that you're saying, V, is just it just sounded very similar all the way through. But
Yep.
I mean, there's uh, I don't remember where I heard this, but essentially like every generation needs to hear the same information through the mouth of their, prophet, if you will. And
Yeah.
the information's the same as, we got from our folks that we listened to, and it's
Yeah.
delivered in
Yeah.
which that they want.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny when I look at music now, especially like I've been in this for a long time. I genuinely respect and appreciate the fact that all music isn't for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And his music is clearly for his fan base. I don't know how the numbers are going to do, but we'll see.